So let's get right into it. We're going to break down how you can turn pretty much any skill into income. But look, this isn't about hustle culture working harder. It's about understanding the physics of the market, that invisible structure that decides what something is actually worth. It really all starts with this question, right? It's a paradox you've definitely seen play out. You know someone who is brilliant, just world class at what they do, but they're struggling. And then you see someone else with maybe average skills who is just crushing it. So what is going on here? This question really gets to the heart of how value is created, and maybe more importantly, how it's captured.
And the answer, and this is the core idea for this whole breakdown, is that the difference is structural. It's not personal. It's not about your talent, your passion, or how many hours you put in. The difference is the system you choose to operate in.
And that brings us to our first signal. It's a kind of counterintuitive truth. Value isn't just something that exists on its own. It's architected. It's designed by the system that delivers it.
This is where a huge misconception lives. We're all kind of taught to believe that income is simple addition. You take your skill, you add effort, and you get paid. But the market doesn't work that way. It's not addition, it's multiplication. Your income is your skill times your delivery system. And as you know from math class, if that second number is close to zero, it doesn't matter how big the first number is.
And this just nails the point, doesn't it? The very same skill, coding, writing, strategy, you name it, can earn wildly different amounts of money depending on the lane it's in. Is it in the full-time employee lane, the Upwork freelancer lane, the direct-to-client productized service lane? Each lane has its own speed limit. Okay, so if that's the signal, what's the pattern? How does this actually show up in the real world? Well, it's not just theory. You see it repeating everywhere. There's this clear, predictable progression from selling a service to building an asset. We can think of it as the monetization ladder. Most people start at the very bottom. Step 1, selling their time. It's the classic hourly rate. The next step up is selling a specific deliverable, like I'll build you one website. But the real jump, the real game changer, is when you start selling outcomes, a guaranteed result. And from there, the top of the ladder is selling systems, things like products or retainers that deliver that outcome over and over again. Every single step you take up this ladder decouples your income from your time.
So what's the engine that's actually driving this whole pattern? What makes the ladder work? Well, it really boils down to three core mechanisms: the channel, the leverage, and the packaging.
First up is the monetization pathway. Just think of this as the actual road your skill is traveling on. A regular job is one pathway, a freelance site like Fiverr is another, a direct consultancy is a third. And each one of these pathways has its own built-in speed limits and, traffic jams.
Next, you've got platform leverage. This one is all about control. See, when you're on a marketplace or you're relying on your employer to bring you work, you are renting visibility. They control the flow of opportunities. The ultimate goal is to move to an owned platform. Your own audience, your own email list, your direct reputation. That's where you control the distribution. And that, my friends, is real leverage. And finally, outcome packaging. And honestly, this might be the biggest unlock of them all. It's the simple but profound shift from describing what you do to describing the problem you solve. You stop selling the activity and you start selling the result. I mean, look at this. It couldn't be clearer. I build websites is a task. It's a commodity. You can go online and find 1 million people who can do that, and they'll all compete on price. But I increase online sales by 30%. That's an outcome. That's an investment, and it's priced against the value it creates. It's the exact same skill, just with completely different packaging. Okay, but what happens if you ignore all this? What's the real cost of not understanding these mechanisms? Well, you fall into what we call the effort trap. And this is where most smart, skilled people get stuck. And this is so important to hear. If you feel stuck, if you feel like you're spinning your wheels, it is almost never about how smart you are or how hard you work. It's because your incredible capability is being mispriced by the market, and you're missing the signals that dictate what things are truly worth. So who really loses out when they don't get these physics? It's the skilled people who stay underpaid for their entire careers. It's the hard workers who are somehow still easily replaceable. It's the generalists with tons of experience who never figure out how to turn it into actual leverage. It's anyone, really, who still thinks that putting in more effort is the answer to creating more market value.
So how do you get an edge? How do you avoid the trap? It's not about learning a new tactic. It's about adopting a completely different worldview, the worldview of an operator, not just a practitioner. And this table just lays out the difference so clearly. A practitioner on the left focuses on getting the task done. The operator on the right is focused on the channel that delivers the task. The practitioner prices by the hour. The operator prices by the impact. One seeks visibility, hoping to be found, while the other strategically builds leverage. It's a fundamental shift from performing a service to delivering a tangible outcome. And that brings us to our final section. We've gone through the signal, the pattern, the mechanism, the cost. Now it's time to turn this analysis back on you. It's time to ask a few key questions that will help you start to reprice your own skill in the market. First, and be really honest with yourself here, where are you currently trying to sell your skill? What lane are you in? Is it an employment lane, a marketplace lane? What are the structural ceilings and limitations of that pathway you've chosen? Second, just listen to how you talk about your own work. When someone asks what you do you describe the hours you put in and the tasks you complete? Or do you immediately talk about the valuable results and the transformations you create for people? The language you use, it reveals everything about how you see your own value. And finally, the big one. What platform, what channel, what system would give you the highest possible leverage? Where could you build true, defensible ownership over your own distribution and your own economic future? Really thinking about that question, that's the key to unlocking a totally different level of value from the skills you already possess.